here with you today. I know I'm really excited about this for a variety of reasons. One of which is that I'm being asked to train about one of my favorite subjects, which has at least something to do with leadership. So leadership is sort of my jam. By no stretch of the imagination do I think I'm the best leader in the world. I just know that it is something that I'm constantly growing in and trying to strive and become better to actually, ironically, better serve people, which really is the topic of today. I've been asked to talk about servant leadership, which as network marketers, as being people in direct sales, etc. I will tell you right now, this is one of the big differences between oh gosh, I was reading this really good leadership book and I don't remember what exactly they call it, but it's basically bully leaders, right? There's a difference between a bully boss and, I remember the book. It's called Super Bosses. A bully boss and a super boss. Somebody people want to work for, somebody people will achieve more with, somebody people show up as a better version of themselves as. And I'm guessing you recognize what I'm trying to say because you've probably, hopefully seen it at some level in your experience in Sensi, right? Like you've seen something like that. You've seen somebody who maybe tries a little harder, stays up a little later, makes sacrifices, pays attention to you, makes you feel important. And we might not realize it because it's really unique to the network marketing direct sales space, but that's not normal. How many of you have done something before? You've had like a normal people job before? Anyone have a normal people job? My background is actually, I worked in a pathology lab as a research assistant. I started in direct sales before finding network marketing because I needed $300 a month to pay rent. And I had one of those bosses. I had one of those bully bosses where it was like, you were almost scared. It was like you were walking on eggshells. It was like, oh God, like, you were constantly being spooked. Like you had anxiety going to work. Can anybody relate to that? You can be like a yes in the chat or something, but it was every day. I'm like, this is stressful. I think I'm aging. So I will tell you that it is actually very unique to network marketing direct sales because we are a volunteer sales force, right? We are a volunteer sales force. And so if you do not lead with heart, if you do not lead from a heart-centered place, if you do not lead to serve, what will happen is you will have a very difficult time not only recruiting, but you will also have a difficult time maintaining and retaining people. People look at the organizations I've grown now over the last almost 10 years in the space, and retention is ridiculously high. It's something like 93% retention when you join my organization. And this is, by the way, I'm not recruiting any of you, so don't get any good ideas. All right. But I'm just telling you, it's because of the form of leadership. And that's something that I've spent a lot of time trying to cultivate and spend a lot of time with over the last 10 years. It's interesting. I haven't talked about this at all online. You guys are the first group I've talked about this with, but Tony Hsieh, who wrote the book, Delivering Happiness, he was the CEO of Zappos. He passed away in his 40s, actually, in a house fire last week. And his book is one of my most shared books and one of the books that actually changed my entire life. If you've yet to read that book, that is definitely a book I recommend. Again, it's called Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. And I look at the way that I've chosen to lead with love because it is a choice. The way you decide to lead is a choice. I know I must be speaking to leaders on this call right now. And I decided to run any organization I ever built based and predicated around that, based around love and light and friendship and real relationships. And a lot of it is actually because of that book. So great book to read. Just a light plug. Unfortunately, he had a very, very untimely death. So I'm going to talk about servant leadership, and I hope that you can go through this and identify in your mind maybe ways that you lead like this or ways that you want to start to lead like this. This is definitely a pen and paper thing, although it looks like a lot of you are all about your pens and papers. It looks like we got a lot of good note takers on the call. That's super exciting. Ray's like, I got it. I got backup pens. Let's go. And so Chastity's probably got a little cubby with 17 properly labeled pens by color. She's going to come fix my house. Oh, she literally has a cubby with pens. Are you kidding me? That was, we didn't even plan that, guys. Didn't even plan it. All right. So first of all, if you want to be a better leader and if you want to actually lead with a servant heart and maintain and retain your organization, it's about listening, okay? Servant leadership is understanding that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? Leaders are the people who make the decisions, okay? And servants are seen as those who follow the decisions of the leader, but servant leaders seek to actually identify and clarify what is best for the group. Right? It's no longer this, look at me, I'm up on a pedestal, right? Look at me, I know everything. It's more like, hold on a second. Hold on, Elizabeth, talk to me. Talk to me, Brittany. What's going on? Like, let's collaborate, Tasha. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know what you're thinking about. I want to know what's bothering you. I need you to know that this is a collaborative relationship, and we only grow if we grow together. And I know you can see how that would work in your organization, right? How having an open line of communication where people feel comfortable speaking to you is so important, but unfortunately, common sense is not so common. Most leaders are barking orders at people. Now, hold on a second. I got to take you back to 2011. Okay, because look, I might have it all together these days, friends. Well, no, I don't have it all together, but I may appear to have it all together these days. I was that leader. So anytime I say something to you today, especially about the topic of servant leadership, I want to let you know that I was the hot mess express leader. I was the leader that none of you actually wanted 9 years ago. Okay, I promise you. I would get on Zooms and I would actually yell at people. I'd be like, Mia, you said you wanted to build your business, and here you are. You can't even show up to a call, like in front of people. Mortifying. Okay, like I'm so embarrassed to admit that, but the growth is incredible, and you only grow by listening. Okay, so we are all on the same playing field. Just because I might have this rank and you might have that rank and whatever, that is completely irrelevant. We can all grow together, and it's so important that if you want to learn how to lead and love, then you need to listen. You need to listen, and you need to be a sounding board for people. You need to be something that's comfortable for people to come to you and say, I am having issues with this. Can you help me with this? It's always an evolution, especially network marketing, where, listen, people are going to complain. Have you noticed? Oh God, that was like a little comedy hour for a second there. Especially in companies with a lot of women. I know you're in a company with a lot of women. Okay. So then we've got like hormones and drama and like real life situations and whatever going on. Right. And, oh, I don't like her and whatever. Listening before responding is a key sign of a strong leader. Okay. The next part of servant-based leadership that is really not that common, especially in corporate America. Again, I think all of us can, well, maybe not just even America, corporate world. I know I have a lot of international people that like to listen to me. But I will tell you that not only are we different leaders in many ways, but one is actually through empathy. Okay. So servant-based leaders, they strive to understand and empathize with other people. So no matter what the problems are, listening and empathizing. Now, there has never been a bigger year for empathy than 2020. I'm just going to say it. And I am like obsessed that I'm looking at this team and there's a lot of diversity going on, even just on my front screen. Okay. And so I will speak to it for a minute here. All right. Just because look, it's my Zoom. You have to listen to me. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not asking you to understand what it's like to be, let's just call it what it is. All right. Look, I'm going to be for real. If you don't know what it's like to be Tasha and you don't know what it's like to be Ray, they're the only two Black women that are on my screen. Okay. You have no idea. You just don't. Can we agree? Right? Like the rest of you, whether you're white or not, you are much lighter skinned than they are. Like I'm not actually white, but like my melanin skipped a generation or something. I don't know what happened over here. Okay. But anyway, I digress even further again. Talk to people who are different. And this isn't just a race conversation. Empathize with the fact that everybody's different. Everybody has a different truth. Everybody's side of a story is valid. Everybody deserves to be seen, heard, and understood. And you don't have to understand. Ray might tell you a story, you're like, what? But it's the empathy of listening and saying, I have no idea what? That's a thing? That's a thing, right? In anything in your business. And saying, you know what? I see you, I hear you, and you're valid. A good leader can do that in any situation. A good leader can do that in any situation because you can't jump to a conclusion thinking you understand everything when we've not lived the same lives. I've not lived the same life as Gloria. I've not lived the same life as Sharnita. I've not lived the same life as Julie. I haven't. So listening. And when you listen, it is a sign of love. It is a sign of appreciation. It is a sign of you're safe here. So much of leadership that is servant-based is holding space for somebody when you don't necessarily understand what they're going through, but saying, hey, I have no idea what it's like to be you, Kayla. Can you talk to me about it? Can you tell me what it was like? Right? Some of you have been in have had very real traumas, very real, negative experiences in your life. Some of you have probably been, there's a lot of you on here, probably been through abusive relationships, whether that's friendships, whether that's romantic relationships, whether that's your parents. Oh my God, there are legit abusive parents out there, right? Whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, financial, whatever, we've all been through stuff. And empathy is just saying, hey, I don't know what that's like, but let's talk about it. And when you give somebody that safe space, your team will explode. Because when people feel like they can trust you, when people feel like they know your heart, when people feel like I literally know Jessie Lee as a person, right? Like even just in this conversation, some of you are like, I didn't think I was going to like her. And like, I really like her. Like it happened like that. It just happened like that. How quickly can that happen to you and to your organizations if you just open up and let people have a safe place to speak and have an empathetic ear? Empathy is one of the strongest things in the world, and there's not enough of it, right? Okay, so the next part of servant-based leadership, it kind of goes right along those same lines, is just healing. Servant-based leadership is something that allows people to heal. Because healing brings about the transformation. It brings about the growth. Does that make sense to everybody? Like if you're healing and you're growing together, of course you're going to want to do bigger business because you feel safe, you feel transformed, you feel like you grew, right? So sometimes, and I love this call. Some of you may literally look back on this call 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, God willing, and say, oh my gosh, that call changed my life. Because I looked at business differently. I looked at recruiting differently. I looked at conversations differently. Sometimes calls like this that aren't just, oh, do this, tactically, do this, you'll sell more, do that live, you'll do this more, whatever it is, you'll build sometimes calls like this transform you and allow you to grow more in your leadership, right? And that's only because we're having a real conversation, only because, I know I'm kind of the one opening up to you, right? But we're opening up to each other right here. It's allowing us to grow. It's allowing us to heal. It's allowing us to transform. One of the most powerful conversations I ever was part of, the most powerful conversation I was ever part of was a champ Zoom with somebody who earned their car on our team. And she said, the Empire, that's our team name. She said, the Empire is a place where people come to heal. And I was like, oh my God. That starts at servant-based leadership because that is somewhere where people feel safe to be themselves. People feel like I was a mess and then I came into this team, right? This team right here on this call and my whole life changed. And so how can you come about that? That's going to come from your heart. That's going to come from leading as a servant. Okay. All right. The next tip for servant-based leadership is to have a different level of awareness. Again, all of this kind of strings together, you're probably noticing, but you need to be aware of people and of situations and of feelings and of strengths and weaknesses that are different of people around you. Some of you are excellent communicators. Some of you are fantastic on live. Some of you make the most amazing Facebook and Instagram posts. Some of you can make like the most incredible, like I'm going to guess Chastity can like make beautiful Instagram stories because like, she's so organized. She's probably got apps for that. Okay. And then the rest of you, like I'm sure there's hot mess expresses on here. That would be me. Okay. Who are like, that's fine. Boomerang. Great. Let's boomerang it up. Wow. Like I'm a disaster. Right? It's not a strength of mine. I am all over the place. Like, get it done, do it messy. I don't think about any of it. Right? But I will tell you that awareness that the way I run my business is as valid as it is for how Chastity runs her organized life, or how Anna runs her life, or how Deb runs her life, or how Chrissy runs her life. All of them are valid. All of them are important. You actually don't want a team that all has the same strengths as you. I swear to this. Okay, let me back it up again to 2011. In 2011 is when I started in direct sales, and all I recruited. Now, I'm a very different person in many, many ways than I was in 2011, but I was very red. Okay, so I don't know if you talk color personalities in your company at all, but I was red. I was the domineer. I was like, wah, 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 like this is me, okay? Back in 2011. A disaster, okay? And I had this soft yellow in me, which is coming out a lot on this call. You can probably feel it. I'm a crier. I'm emotional. I like cry in the Hallmark aisle. You know what I mean? Like I read a card. I'm like, oh my God, those words. Like I'm a mess. Like I'm so overly emotional. I don't know what the deal is. I just love people a lot. So I was not like that. I would only pretty much recruit red personalities. My whole team, oh my God, it was all these competitors who had to be right all the time and all wanted to fight with one another. And oh my God, it was the most toxic team on earth. Ugh. It was my fault because I was not leading from a place of an awareness that people who have different personalities as me might be able to also run a very successful business. Does that relate to any of you? Like there's not one good personality. So some of you might look, I just keep using Chastity as an example, but like you might look at how organized she is, very green in many ways, and be like, oh no, I guess I'm not going to be good at this business because I'm not organized like that. And then some of you might see who's super competitive on here. Like who's the competitor who always has to be at the top? Like you're like, I gotta be number one in sales. I sold the most. Like you're like super competitive. Who is it? Like, come on, there's no hands raised. None of y'all are Tasha. Okay. So Tasha's the competitor, right? She sees second place. She cancels everything to go beat everybody, right? And I thought, and that used to be, I mean, it's still me in a way. I'm just softer around the edges. Like I still have to win. Okay. But like, ain't nothing wrong with that, sister. I'm not telling you there's nothing wrong with that. We love a competitor. But I'm telling you, if your whole team are a bunch of competitors, it doesn't allow who's the fun people? Where's the fun people? Come on. Where's the fun ones? Come on. Anybody? Where's the partiers? You're so upset about the pandemic because you can't do the parties. Where are those? Anybody? There we go. Thank you, Deb. Okay. So Deb's got some blue in her. She's like, I just want to stick a warmer in a wall. Like what the hell? All right. Those people, you're like, I just want to, where's my hostesses with the mostest? I got these party games I've been trying to try out. Okay. Like, all right, there we go. We got nodding now. A lot of you are blue. That's interesting. Okay. And then the yellows are the emotional people, okay? You bring people in the business because you just want people to win, all right? I will tell you, if you want to actually be a servant leader, you need to have all of those, and you need to let all of those people feel welcome. All of those people need to have a place on your team. There is not one better business personality. I will tell you, I am a blazing orange. I am very red and competitive, and at the same time, when you win, when you promote, I'm going to cry. Like I'm going to weep. I won't even cry. I'm going to lose all the eyelashes. Like I'm so emotional. Okay. I'm a good mix of the two. We are all blended together, but servant leadership is going to have an awareness around that so that, and I said, you need to have an awareness of your weaknesses so you can find the strengths in other people. Okay. The next thing, oh my gosh, how do I run out of time? I talk too much, I swear. But is this useful? Like, is this beneficial? I don't know. I feel like it's a good cause. I'm connecting with you guys. I love this. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go quickly, right? But servant leaders are going to, are just going to have foresight. Okay. So learning from their pasts, right? Considering the reality of the present and then thinking of the future. So that vision, right? And here's why that relates so much to network marketing. I just told you how bad I was in 2011, like a disaster, so bad. Thank God people had the foresight to be like, well, she is rough around the edges. Oh my, she could use some development. We need to get her some Jim Rohn. We need to get her some Bob Proctor. We need some John Maxwell in her life. Maybe a little bit more, sprinkle some more Jesus on her. Okay, like there's some things that we need in this woman's life because she is, sheesh. Okay, that was me. But people had the foresight to say, okay, hold on a minute. There's a lot of potential here. So she might not have it all together right now. She might not know what she's doing right now. She might, be breaking basically every rule and policies and procedures, but she has this skeleton there to be good. So if you want to be a servant leader, when you see somebody who might be completely different than you, you go, you know what? Anna is totally different than me. Lorena's completely different than me. And she's not even good right now, but there's something there. And I mean, you two are probably wonderful. I just have no idea, right? But like seeing the potential in people, that allows you to serve Because then you start saying, Cammie could be great. How could she be great? Let me think about that. Let me see how I can put her in situations where she can actually thrive, right? Which then takes me to my last two things, which I know I'm over time, but like whatever. Commit to the growth of your people. And I'm going to tell you right now, every single one of you I can tell is committed to growth, or you wouldn't have shown up to this call. You could be doing whatever the heck you want to do on a Tuesday night at 6:00 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you showed up to a call to learn how to be better. You're already telling your leaders that are on this call who the leaders are, who's going to be the leader, who we should have the foresight to pay attention to, right? And so being committed to that growth, though, being committed to not only the business growth, but really the spiritual growth and the personal development. I am such a different person. And it's because I was committed to that growth. It's because, again, my leaders kept saying, you got to go to an event. Like, you need to go learn. You need to train. You need to listen to these CDs. I'm like kind of aging myself, I guess. But like, you need to go listen. Now would be like, go listen to Jessie Lee's podcast. Wink, wink, hint, hint. I'm just kidding. Right. But like, go listen to that. Go develop a little bit more. That commitment of growth to your people, that is leadership. If somebody says, hey, Jamie, I really care about you. I think this podcast will be great for you. It's not offensive. It's, I see something in you. It's, I know how good you could be at this. I'm committed to your growth. I will match your energy. And somebody who's serving from leading from a place of servant leadership is going to do that. They're going to match the energy. They're going to be committed to you as much as you're committed to them. Now, your leader cannot commit to you if you're not committed, right? So if you're showing up 10% of the time, well, then when your leader commits to you 10% of the time, don't be shocked, right? But if somebody raises their hand and says, look, I'm not good right now, but I'm here. I'm not good right now, but I'm here. I want to get better. I'm hungry for growth. Put me on, coach. Like, I'm in. Just teach me and train me. I'm here for it. That's how excellence is cultivated. You might be listening to me speak right now and you're like, she has got it going on. Like, where is this coming from? How does she put this? Like, she is stringing thoughts together. Like, oh my God, this is almost 10 years of this, right? This is 10 years of learning and developing and growing. You don't get good like this overnight. This is my 10,000 hours. I mean, I've put in my 10,000 hours of developing as a leader, and so can you. And never compare yourself. Be committed to your growth and never compare yourself to what other people are doing, which I know can be easier said than done, but please don't. Please don't. The leg of your journey you're on right now is important. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I haven't said this on a training for maybe like a week or so it's time to say it again. God doesn't create junk. By the way, like, I love Jesus, so I keep saying God and Jesus and stuff, but that's how it's going to be. You're on my call. All right. But like, I'm just going to tell you, God doesn't create junk. So if you need me to tell you that today, if that needed to be said to somebody, I really, truly believe that. And just trust your journey. I know it might not be as fast as you want it to be. I know you might, maybe the pandemic made things a little weird for you. I understand that. I respect that. But I'm just telling you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be all of the time. All of the time. And if you don't like it, I love y'all. Change it. I read something one time that said, if you're in hell, why do some people pull up a seat? It's like, wow, it's hot here. Let me grab a stool, right? Like, how about how about like put on some running shoes and get out of there? Some of you are so comfortable in hell. I am not comfortable in hell, okay? Move. You need to be committed to your best growth. You get to change your life. You are in a business that has no limit. There is no ceiling. There is no, ooh, Leslie, girl, you're making too much money. I'm going to need you to slow down. That phone call never comes. Your company's never going to call you and say, wait a minute there, little lady. You're selling a lot. We're going to need to slow it down. No, they're just going to say, holy smokes. Oh, we got a back order. Woo-hoo! Alrighty then, right? Like, you get to set the pace. You get to choose that. And the last thing I will say, because I said I give you two, if you want to be a servant leader, which I know you probably do at this point, because you're like, this is what I'm trying to, this is me, is build a community. Okay. You can recruit and you can recruit and you can recruit, and you might be able to hit those goals. You might be able to hit top ranks. You might be able to, make money. But money without contribution, and money without giving, and money without purpose, and money without serving is so empty. I look at these people all the time that, I know a lot of $1 million earners. I'm super blessed to be somebody who went from literally needing $300 a month to pay rent. Now I make multi-millions a year. Okay. I'm super blessed. I'm fully aware of it. But I will tell you right now, I see these people who make millions of dollars and they're not all happy. Some are. They're not all happy because they're not giving. They're not making a community. They're not giving people a safe place, like I said, to heal and to grow and to expand and to become the versions of themselves they're supposed to be. And so as you continue to grow, if you want to serve, I want you to give people that safe place. I want you to build a culture of love and leadership and light and whatever it is that you're called to, so that people have somewhere to come to. Because servant leadership is saying, I'm here, you're safe, come with me. I'm here, you're safe, come with me. And when you build a business around that, you always get to feel good about it. You never have to feel bad about what you're doing. You always get to show up at the highest, most passionate level of yourself and just vibrate at a high energetic level. And that attracts so many people to what you're doing because people can smell real. People can tell when people have that I don't know how I feel about her, right? Or him or whoever, right? People can tell. People are so drawn to authenticity in people. Real recognizes real. So true. People are so keen to find authenticity in 2020. And when that is there and when that community is there, oh my gosh, that's where the magic happens. So I hope you got something out of this tonight. I went literally 8 minutes over, which is going to run into my next call, but it's okay. I was really vibing on here. So if you got value, I'm super, super happy. It makes me very filled with joy, but I do have to run. I love you and I appreciate you. And I know that might sound weird to some of you because you're like, you literally don't even know me. Why are you saying you love me? Well, look, there are people in this world who hate people for literally no reason. So I will always choose. Thank you, Gloria. I will choose to love you for no reason. And hopefully as we do get to know one another, we have tons of reasons to actually love each other. So God bless every single one of you. Have an awesome rest of your night. Ciao.
All right, y'all. This is still recording, but you guys are more than able to unmute yourself, type in the chat, tell me what you thought, all the things. So if you do not know or did not know who Jessie Lee was before tonight, I hope that you have fallen in love with her and her energy, and she is just amazing. I listen to her podcast all the time. And I mean, I don't want to talk. I want to hear from you guys.
That was awesome. It was so good. I'm so excited. I was totally fangirling. So I feel like, am I in a dream or what? But that was awesome.
I know, girl. I was so I was even freaking out before she got on here. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? Or am I sure it's the right link? I was freaking out. But anybody else want to chat or talk or say a key takeaway or anything you got from it?
I just absolutely loved her energy and gives me hope. She gave me hope for growing my team.
Yeah, girl, it's possible, and she's one that if I wake up and I'm just in a really funky mood or something like that, where I'm just I got to turn on some Jessie Lee and start listening. And I truly believe that she's very, very authentic and that she preaches and talks about the things that I don't think that she's up here talking about anything that she isn't going to do herself. I always say leaders lead from the front, and you never ask your team to do things that you're not willing to do. And I've really caught that vibe from her. Anybody else want to talk about anything?
Chastity, I think it was great to hear some of the things she was describing as a servant leader.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think sometimes as a new director, we question ourselves constantly. I do anyway. Am I doing right by my team? Am I taking care of them and what they need and all of those things? So to hear everything she described, I was literally writing it down and I'm like, oh, wait, I do these things. And I don't know, it was just reassuring, I'm not missing it. You know what I mean?
I love
we
that.
can all
Yeah.
get better. But yeah, just hearing what she described definitely solidified some questions I have with myself for my own team.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I mean,
Yeah.
as a leader, I think that strong leaders are always self-reflecting and always just like asking themselves, well, what can I do different? What am I doing well? What do I need to do better in? Yes. And I think that it's definitely a positive when you hear someone like validate the things that you believe and the things that you're doing. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate you. Anna Watson was, she's actually on vacation and still showed up for this because she was one that definitely wanted to have Jessie Lee speak. So Whitney said, I'm going to look into the color personalities too. So I've actually had that written down a couple of different times and then just kind of like it falls off because I was like reading a lot about the Enneagram, because if you don't know about the Enneagram, I definitely suggest looking into that too. I think it's super, super important. And I want you guys to know, because I've seen a couple people on here saying that you don't have a team yet, or you look forward to being a leader. You are a leader the day you click join, period. You are the leader of your own business. You are the leader of your own life. You are a leader whether you have a team member or not. Know that. And doing all, just like what Jessie Lee was saying about having 10 years of learning, developing, and growing, you do that whether you have a team member or not, if you're going to be successful, period. I believe in feeding your brain every single day. And I totally got off topic, but Enneagrams, just in life in general, I think it's super important for you to understand your personality. And the Enneagram's different in the fact that it's like why you do certain things. And it really kind of takes you for a loop sometimes, because you see, oh yeah, I do that, don't I? Oh, I am like that. And it's not always positive, right? Because when you're in your good, you're a wing, it's a whole thing. If you don't know what your Enneagram is, I'm going to suggest that you look into that. And you cannot just take one quiz and figure it out. That's not how the Enneagram works. You got to look into it some more. But knowing that has helped me be a better leader, because I can identify my strengths and my weaknesses. And I can also know that about my leaders. The color personalities, I've actually listened to a couple of podcasts about it, and I keep writing it down and then never do anything with it. But everything that she was saying, I really feel led to talk about the color, or find out more about the color personalities. Does anybody have any resources? Have you guys done anything about color personalities?
Tasha did one for our team. It was more on jewels, like rubies, emeralds, pearls. She did one that was similar to that, which kind of helped us understand one another a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm guessing the Enneagram is almost like the not Myers-Briggs, it's the other one.
It's similar to that, yeah. So there's
Okay.
for the Enneagram, there's 9 different personality types, and then you have a wing, which is like what you act towards if you're in like a good place or if you're in like a stressed place. And so when I say that you can't just take a quiz for this one, guys, it's because like deep down you feel like you want to answer one way, but that may not necessarily be how you really are. So there's a book called let me look it up on my phone. It's called, I want to say The Road Back to You. And it's about all of is that what it is, Jessica? Yeah, The Road Back to You. And so between like reading that book and like really researching the Enneagram, I was able to figure out what my number was. But like, I think the color personalities is going to be really good too, because I just think it's super important as a leader to understand where your people are coming from and all of that. Does anybody else want to say anything? I'll start talking and never stop.
The Road Back to You, Chastity, it also
Yes.
has a workbook on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's on my list of things to get, but I haven't bought it yet.
Oh, yeah, I see that. It's a study guide. Yep. There's numerous different books like that. I mean, I would just suggest looking up which one you would like to research. I did a lot of research on the Enneagram. I know what I am now, so I feel confident in that. And if you're on Instagram, you can follow tons of different Enneagram pages and it'll like tell you all different kinds of things. It's eye-opening, but it'll also hurt your feelings a little bit too. So you definitely have to be somebody that's willing to like listen and learn from it instead of just getting mad at the Enneagram and never looking at it again. Because you are who you are and you gotta own it and move on and like do something about it. Anybody else? Any other key takeaways?
My number one thing, even with the podcast that she just always repeats, is God doesn't create junk. And that is the biggest thing to me, is even on your hardest day, you have to realize like God doesn't create that. And so you don't need to think that about yourself, because we're all our worst enemy and thinking that we're the worst person, but realizing that that's not what he does, and kind of like get in your feelings and then get out.
Yeah. It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay there. And I mean, I say that to myself daily. And I mean, it's so true. And I have chills right now because I know you guys were called. I know that you're here for a reason. I know that you stopped what you were doing if you're on the East Coast to be on here at 7:00 when that's normally the busiest time of my day because my kids are being crazy and everything else. But hold on, I need to text my husband and tell him he can bring my child upstairs because she screams, and you guys know that. I told him he wasn't allowed to give Marley a bath until after Jessie Lee was done talking. So if there's crazy screaming in the background, it wasn't distracting. And I mean, like, I didn't talk to Jessie Lee about anything before she got on here. She doesn't know our team. She doesn't know our group name is Shine Your Light. She doesn't know any of that. And she talked so much about being a light. Like, she said that numerous different times, and she had no idea that that was our group name. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. And I think that everything that she said is so true, that if you can listen first before you respond, it's so important. Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely said things that I shouldn't have said or didn't really mean in a moment of anger or in a moment of anxiety or in a moment of stress. And I think sometimes that, like, we can all just get caught up and not really listen to what people are saying. You may listen, but you listen to respond instead of listening to actually hearing what people have to say. And as a leader of your own business, because you lead your customers, you lead your team. If you haven't had a difficult or crazy customer yet, you will. Let me just go ahead and tell you, you will. You'll question your sanity if you haven't had a team member that's like that yet, that's been ugly to you for no reason, or a customer that's been ugly to you for no reason. You will. You bless it, you release it. But you wait 24 hours before you respond to a customer or to a teammate if you feel like you're going to say something out of anger. Because at the end of the day, you're a business owner. And at the end of the day, you're the face of your business and the face of your team. And unfortunately, we live in a society where screenshots are real. And it takes about 30 seconds for somebody to blast your name everywhere or do this, that, and the third. And at least if you can really think about what you have to say, you can pray on it, you can sleep on it. You know that whatever you're going to say or whatever you're going to do, that you can do with a good heart and good faith, and know that you did what you think was right rather than what you did out of anger or out of being stressed or whatever. I don't really even know where that came from. That was something that I really felt led to say, because we all know back order situations are happening right now. Shipping situations are happening right now. There's probably going to come a time, if you haven't had it yet, where somebody is going to be upset with you over something that you have no control over. If it hasn't happened yet, it will. And that the most, I am very much like a tenderhearted person. If somebody, like at the beginning of my business, when somebody would be that way to me, like I would take it so personal. And most of the time, people that are being that way to you are going to be that way to anybody. Hurt people like to hurt people. And they're mad at the situation. They may just be taking it out on you. So just remember that. And like what she said was with awareness, being aware that you may have had a really bad day, but you don't know what is going on with them in the background. So to just have grace. Anybody else? Anything you want to say or talk about? Yes. Anybody else interested in the color personality types? I'm going to look into that when I get off here, once I get my life together, because today's the first of the month. You want to talk, Cammie? Or are you raising your hand? Okay. Another big thing is committed to your growth and not comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you think that I don't compare myself to people, you're wrong. I'm sure that every single one of you guys have compared yourself to somebody else. I'm sure that every single one of you guys have felt like, why not me? Why her? Her success is not your failure. Her success is not your failure. And if you need to put that somewhere in your space, then put it somewhere in your space. But every single moment that you spend comparing yourself and asking yourself, why not me, is a moment that you could be growing yourself. And just like Elizabeth said, that Jessie Lee always says, God doesn't create junk, and you are exactly where you are supposed to be right now in this moment. And I just want you guys to know that this is something that has really, really been on my heart. And it's something that I'm like a server by, I want to say server, but like I am a giver by nature. I was a teacher. You know, you don't do that just because. But with adults, it's always been harder for me. I'm gonna be honest, like it's harder for me, and I'm very much an introvert. So I'll put my head down, get to work, and never talk to anybody, and I'm good. I don't need it. I love to live alone, be alone, all the alone things. So I have to remember that as a leader, I can't do that all the time. And it's okay to take time for me, and it's okay to take time for my personal business, but I have to give to my leaders. And that just because I know I care and I love them, and I know that they can come to me, I have to make sure that I'm building a relationship with those people so that they know that. And they're not going to know that by me just assuming it or by me just posting on a team page. A relationship with your customers, with your team, with anybody is what is going to get you where you want to be and where they want to be. Something I heard on I don't even remember who said it, but train your people well enough so that they can leave, but treat them well enough so that they don't want to. Creating a sticky culture to where people don't want to leave is something that has to be created. It's not going to happen on accident. And if you aren't being intentional with creating that and creating that community, just like what she talked about, if you're not being intentional with that, it's not going to grow. And that's something that I know that I have to do better at. Me being in Facebook jail has really just killed my entire vibe. But I'm hoping I'm out tomorrow. I couldn't go live today. I tried. But Anyway, I don't want to take up any more of y'all's time, but know that a lot of people join you. They're not joining Cincy. They're not buying just from Cincy. They can't go to the corporate website and buy from just Cincy. They can't go to the corporate website and just join Cincy. Cincy's going to give them a consultant. But all of you guys chose your sponsor for the most part, unless you rolled up. Why should they choose you? Why should they continue to choose you? And how are you giving those people a safe place to trust you, to know that they can come to you, and to know that even if you guys have a disagreement, I don't always agree with people. I may, but I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to understand and I'm going to give you my opinion. And if you decide to not do that, that's fine. And I want you guys to realize that that's okay too. Sometimes having a hard conversation, well, all the time, having a hard conversation is hard, but leadership is hard. Leading a group of women is hard. And those hard conversations, even though sometimes they can feel like they're going to make or break something, truthfully, I don't believe that they can break something that's meant to be, because you're not going to be there on accident. And that hard conversation may be what saves someone's life. That hard conversation may be, you just never know. If Chloe had never had that hard conversation with me about doing another direct sales at the same time I was doing Cincy and told me that I needed to pray about it and pick, I wouldn't be here. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, I would not be successful in the company that I was in before, because I didn't have passion for it. And you cannot do two and be successful. You just can't. I don't care what anybody else says. You can't do it. And I'm sure that Chloe had a lot of worry when she came to me, because Chloe and I were not good friends back then. Truth be told, I hell hated Chloe in high school. Hell hated her for absolutely no reason, because my ex-husband made me jealous and I was very insecure. He didn't make me, but I was a lot of those things, and I didn't like her. Why I decided to join her, I don't know. I was drawn to her for a reason. And I knew that if I joined her, that she was going to teach me what I needed to do to be successful. Right? And so when she had that conversation with me, we weren't close at all. But that conversation changed the path of my life. That conversation changed our relationship. And she had no idea if I was going to freak out on her, because that's the type of person I was, and never talk to her again, or if something like this could happen. So just remember that if you're going through something like that, as long as it's coming from a place of love and you're praying about it, and you are, have a friend that can read your message and say, hey, how does this sound? Have somebody vet it. But I think that my word for 2021 is definitely going to be service or serving or something like that. I've been praying on it a lot. My word this year was intention. And I want you guys to really think about where you want to be. All right. Well, I'm done talking unless anybody else has to talk, because it is what it is. Let me stop recording.